welcome to another episode of Gift of Gab. Of course, I am your host, Gab. Hope y'all's week is starting off well. Listen, July is up out of here. July came, saw, conquered, brought crazy heat, and it is up out of here. But Gift of Gab is here to stay. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, y'all, we have a very special guest on the show, Miss Ashlee Jones. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here.
We are happy to have you. So, y'all, just a little bit of background because I have the best friends in the whole wide world. Okay. So, Ashlee and I met by way of my friend who introduced me to her friend who was a previous guest on Gift of Gab. She was our doula. And this is her cousin, right?
Yes, it's my cousin.
Okay.
She's my cousin, and she's actually my doula as well.
Listen, we love Ebbs. We love
I
Ebbs.
love Evie.
I already told Ebbs, like, I don't know where I'll be living when it's time to have a baby, but I will be in your vicinity, okay? Either you can
Yes,
flued out to me or I'm getting flued out to you. Either way, you
it's
are
worth
my
it.
doula.
She
So,
is worth it. She is
oh,
like chef's kiss. She's so wonderful, beautiful. Her heart is
she is.
super special. So yeah,
Just
fly
a
her out.
great human being. Just a great human being
She
all the
really
way
is.
around. So shout out to Ebbs, y'all. If y'all looking
Hi,
for a doula,
Abby.
please reach out to Ebbs. So y'all, today is a just because I don't have a better term right now, it's a hot topic, right? Today's episode is called Oh Baby. So we are talking to Ashlee about taking a different route to getting her first baby, right? So a more
Yes,
non-traditional route. And Ashlee, correct me if I'm wrong, but you went the route of IVF or in vitro fertilization, correct?
I did. I did IVF. I started at 37 years old, and that was the route I took. Mainly because if you do IVF, which is like the big dog, right? This is
Mhm.
the highest the one you can do is you know right away. You know,
Got
you can do IUIs or things before that, and it's like attempts, and you don't really know. But IVF will tell you exactly where you are in
right.
your egg quality, and so I felt like it was appropriate to go ahead and jump to IVF. So yes, I did start with IVF.
So to get things kicked off, tell us a little bit about what IVF is.
So, IVF is basically a technology where they can go in and extract your eggs.
Mhm.
So they let them grow over a month's time. They're giving you stimulants and medicine to help. Then they extract those eggs. And for freezing, like IVF, you like to freeze them if a woman would want to just keep them on ice and
Mhm.
not um have a donor or their partner inseminate those eggs, they would just freeze them at that point. So I chose to have a donor and then chose to have that, inseminated. It
Okay.
basically they basically cook it for you. That's how I describe it. It's like
Gotcha. Okay.
it's technology that they're cooking it for you. They
Mhm.
extract it from you. They put the sperm in. It
Mhm.
cooks for a couple of days.
Mhm.
You see if it lives. If it lives to 5 or 6 days,
Mhm.
they can biopsy it and test it for any abnormalities.
Oh,
Or
okay.
if you don't choose to do that, because that costs everything costs.
Right. Of course.
If you don't choose to do that, then you can just freeze them at that
Okay.
point. And then the next process of IVF is the transfer. So then
Got
they transfer it back into your body,
mhm.
and then
Then you bake.
prayerfully, prayerfully, a baby will, grow. But it's just the same as if you were having, regular intercourse, right?
Right.
There's so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
The sperm can go up. It cannot produce, not meet the egg, not,
Right.
make the embryo. So your embryo is already made and
Mm-hmm.
they put it in you. But if your uterus or something is not a good home for the baby, your body's
Gotcha.
going to reject it like anything, right? So
Gotcha.
that's the reason why you see so many people having, so many different stages of IVF. Like they've done
Yeah.
3 or 4 cycles because they transfer, but it didn't take.
Didn't
And it's
take.
not
Yeah.
their fault. It's just,
Right.
their body just didn't,
Just
accept it
didn't.
that time. So
Yeah. So
I think it's doing it for you. I would say if you just wanted to do it in layman terms, it's technology that's basically doing everything for you, extracting the eggs, putting the sperm in the
Putting
eggs,
everybody
making the
together.
embryo. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
that's
Okay.
pretty much the process.
So I understand that, or some of the things that I read, IVF is mostly used by women who have some sort of experience with infertility. That
Yes.
seems to be the number one use of the IVF technology. However, that is not necessarily or at all your particular situation, right? You chose to go
Correct.
this route because let's talk through that. So
It
why did you choose
was,
to
you're right.
go this route?
That is true. Most, IVF, I would say lots of cases are due to infertility or due to issues with your reproductive system for some reason. Lots of PCOS. There's lots of different things that can happen. Tube issues, having to get a tube removed. All those things kind of can get in the way of you getting pregnant. That wasn't my particular issue. I had never been pregnant before when I started when I was 37, but I had, when I say I am like a crazy person with the doctor, I was, as soon as I could go to the doctor, I'm like, can I have a baby? Like I was 20 years old in college, like, can you check out everything? Because, I hear, people don't get checked out. And then when they go, they can't have a baby. So for many years, I had been overly like, everything's good down there, right? And
Yeah.
so my doctor would always be like, you're 100% healthy, but and they would tell me, which would offend me, is like, but you're not married, so you don't even need to worry about that yet. And I hate that. I always hate that because I'm like, in my mind, that was such a big cloud. Only in our tradition, or like, our Black culture, of course you want to get married and have children first. So, but to have your health professional being like, oh, you need to get married, when there's technologies out there that you don't really need to be married to have a baby. So I didn't have any reproductive issues. Thankfully, I didn't have anything. I was 100% healthy. There was nothing that they were concerned about, which was also too why she cleared me to go straight. My doctor was like, let's try IVF first if you can pay for it, because that might be something we talk about later.
Right.
But
so
yeah.
To back up just a little bit, so you chose this method. You're not currently married, correct?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And you are not currently in a relationship?
I'm not.
Okay. So when you made this
but y'all call me.
That's another episode, actually. I'm back with the other episode. But so you went to these doctors and you were like, hey, I know I want to be a mommy. I know I want to be a mommy. And you were kind of met with this resistance of like, okay, slow your roll though. You don't have a significant other. You're not married. You shouldn't go down this path of being a mommy. And you said basically like, no, that's not going to stand in the way of me being a mommy, right? So you kind of took that.
I want to be transparent with you. At first, that was not it was not like, it does still feel very unconventional what I've done. But so at first, when they were telling me that in my 20s and my early 30s, I just was like, you're right. I need to find a man first. Like, come on.
Right.
But as I got out of a relationship, one of my longest relationships, and it was a beautiful relationship, and one of the deal breakers was children. I think that catapulted me into, I had always thought that this could be an option if I never got married, but I wasn't like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is the plan. But when that relationship ended, I just was like, okay, what are my options? I'm 37 years old. I feel like I'm a great human being, but we all got pain. We all, got something. So I'm not married. Like, can I bank on in the next 3 or 4 years? Because the reality is, and this is also something I want to say, is like a lot of people, God bless Ashanti, and I know she just had her baby, like, they use celebrities as an example of how things can happen. So they're like, well, Mariah Carey had her baby at 50 and Janet Jackson had her baby at 50. And look at Ashanti. Honey, these people have the funds to help them. They got IVs every day. They have doctors on demand. They virtually have someone that is assisting them through their pregnancy the entire time.
Yep.
And you have to be very realistic with yourself. You get
Yeah.
all the eggs you're ever going to get when you are born.
Yep.
As your years get older, those decline. And so I wanted to mention that because I see all the memes like, girl, you can wait.
Yeah.
And listen, I believe in God. God is, he can do anything.
That's right.
Absolutely anything. And I think God had his foot in this from the beginning because I was
Yeah.
praying. I was like, what should I do? Am I
Yeah.
insane to do this?
Absolutely.
But I think he gave me the desire. And I think when God puts something in your heart, whether it's a job, a podcast, whatever,
Yep.
he is going to see it through. Like
Yeah.
he's going to ask you to trust.
Yep.
And that's the lesson in it is like, if you trust, I'll keep unfolding the road.
Yep.
If you
That's
listen
right.
to me and be still, I'll keep doing that. So
Keep
I
doing
feel like
it.
God had a major part in me doing this because I
Yeah.
was scared. I was
Yeah.
just like, I think I know what I'm doing, but not really. And then he kept opening the door. Well, just go to the appointment. Went
Yeah.
to the appointment. Everything worked out. She's
Yeah.
like, great, we're good to go. And then they want to rush you through the process, obviously. You know, they want
Yeah.
to make money. So I'm like,
Absolutely.
y'all already looking at the eggs and, you know, like the next week. And then it's like a every week thing. So I kind of got catapulted into it,
Yeah.
but I do want to say it was not like something in my 20s that I had thought or early
Imagine.
30s that
Yeah.
was an option. I didn't think
Yeah.
it was an option. I too thought it was like, that's a little weird. Like you
Yeah.
don't have a baby with no daddy and did it, you know,
So take
what would
us
people
to that
say?
moment. Take us to that moment when, you know, you've kind of like you've prayed about it, you've thought about it, you've agonized over it, I'm sure. You probably
Yeah.
consulted with family and friends, your village. Take us to that
Yeah.
moment where you decided, like, I'm gonna move forward with this. Like, what was that like? Was it scary? Was it like, you know what, I got my mind made up, I'm just gonna do it? What was that moment like?
It was not, my mind was made up.
Oh, okay.
It was very much, I was petrified. I did not want to, I had thought about it for so long. And then when the relationship ended, I will say it was like an October, let's go October 1st, right? And I talked to my best friend and I was like, I think that I can live with never getting married. Like in my soul, I have my nieces and nephews. I have a great family. I have wonderful friends. I think that I would be okay. I can say that out of my mouth and not get emotional about it. And I think that's another thing too. When you say something out of your mouth and you just, fall to shit, you know that your heart is in it. And so when I would think write down the opposite, like, could you imagine your life never having tried to have a child or have a child? And that would just break me down like to the core. Like I was like, no, like I don't think that I would have forever been missing something, I think,
Yeah.
Now, whether or not at that point, I didn't know if it was going to happen or not, but not trying was just not an option for me.
Yeah.
And so I would say maybe 2 weeks after I talked to my best friend, I was going over, pros and cons and like, and she was just like, take the step. The step is going to the first doctor's appointment. And in fact, I'll go with you.
That's
And it was
listen, we love a good bestie on Gift of Gab. Shout out to the
because
besties.
wait, first of all, we be the best besties. We be like, go girl, look, we'll go with you. And then meanwhile, our own life, we're like, I really don't want to go. No, she bested. Yeah, she was like, and in fact, I'll go with you. It was a Zoom call. And it was my very first IVF Zoom call. And I didn't really care for the doctor. And I didn't, I was looking for everything to be wrong with the situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was like, a very I think with IVF doctors, like there's certain doctors that can't build that rapport with you. They should be able to, right? But I think that some doctors, it's hard to because I can be your best friend. We can love each other, and you cannot be able to have a baby, and I'm gonna have to be the person to tell you that.
Right.
So I can empathize with why they're not so, they don't have the most immaculate
Yeah.
bedside manner, right? And that's
Very
different from like
personable. Yeah.
like an OBGYN who's going to deliver your baby. They're going to be the sweetest,
Yeah.
kindest, and you would expect that from anybody you're paying your money to. But I can understand why everything is matter of fact. We're going to go
Yeah.
by facts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
lead you that way. So when, my best friend was like, let's just keep moving forward. And we're
Yeah.
an appointment. I think it was like November 1st. And
Mhm.
I started in January, that
Oh,
next January.
wow.
So it was that quick. And I
Yeah.
don't want to make anybody think that it was like, okay, the feeling was, I'm going to do this. I wrote
Yeah.
down all the, it was just a conversation. You
Yeah.
need to take the next step
Yep.
and I'll go with you.
And
And that
I
was it.
appreciate that transparency, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I want the audience to hear, that this was not an easy decision to come by. And not just was it
That's
not an
not.
easy decision to come by, it has not been an easy process to go through from day one, not
Yeah.
just because of
Yeah.
the science aspect of it, but the emotional aspect of it.
Yeah.
This is a process that it sounds like requires a whole lot of you. It requires you to
Yeah.
be in a certain place and make sure that you have the support. So talk a little bit about your support
Yeah.
system throughout this process, because we hear that your best friend has been here. What about family members? How has that been for you?
It's been wonderful. I think that again, because it's still, to me, I say unconventional. I think by the time like my kid is older, it won't be such a thing.
Right.
But older people be like, girl, what is that? What you do? Let's be real.
That's right.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I had a wonderful support system. Like I had my best friends, Abby. Really, my rock has been my mom this
Yeah.
whole time. Like I told her I'm gonna do it. I don't think she thought I was like serious,
Yeah.
because look, I got ideas all the time. I'm just like a dreamer, right? And so I don't think she took it seriously until she probably seen the first shot,
Yeah.
like, oh, you giving yourself medicine, like this is a real deal, you
Are
know what I
doing
mean?
it.
But
Yeah.
the support has just been awesome. And as soon as I started following communities, single mother by choice and
Yeah.
all the IVF communities, and those will help you tremendously as well, because some family won't understand. They
Yeah.
won't understand why you chose this life.
Yeah.
But people have, kids all the time and are single moms, and they didn't choose that life. So
Absolutely.
you're not a fortune teller, you're not God. You don't know how a situation is going to end up, obviously. So my support system has been great, but my mom is like, she's so down. Like she's a writer.
Shout out to
Whatever you
mom.
want to do, like
Shout
whatever you
out
want to
to
do, we doing
mom.
it.
Shout out. And I do want to touch on the topic of being a single mom by choice. But before we do that, if you are okay with sharing, I understand that IVF is not it's not always a you do it once and it works kind of process. If you are okay with sharing, how many times did you have to go through the process before your baby?
It's, I want to, like, I thank you for bringing that up. And to be very transparent, I want to say that it is, your expectations have to be open with
Mm,
this process. And I think that that's like the biggest thing, because you think you're going in, and obviously me too. And I did only one cycle of
okay.
IVF, but you have to remember what conditions I gave you from the start, which was I was 37. I was a healthy 37-year-old with no reproductive issues.
Mhm.
I didn't need any surgeries. I didn't need any of that prior to starting IVF. So we were pretty sure. I mean, the doctor was pretty certain that it would work.
Mhm.
But to be clear, when you get your eggs extracted, you want to get a lot of eggs that are mature. And then again, the baking process. So I started, just to give you an idea of still with me being a healthy individual with no prior issues, they extracted 12 eggs,
Mhm.
11 fertilized, which like basically every time I say another step, it's making it to the next process. So 11 fertilized. And then they inserted, the sperm or whatever and let them cook or whatever. And so only 6 made it to like day 5,
Gotcha.
6 embryos. And then by day 6, they wanted to let it cook one more day to see if those had fell off. So I only got 3 embryos out of the 12.
Wow.
So the three, I had them all tested. I paid to have them tested, PGT tested.
Mm-hmm.
Three went out, two boys, one girl. The girl was abnormal. So then I had two boys. And I had and they grade them. So I had a really great boy. And then I had like, the next level down in terms of grades. I'm sure they're both wonderful.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
in terms of grades. So when you think about it, they always say it's like a 50% chance of like whatever you get. So I got 12, it dwindled down to 6, and then it dwindled down to 3, and then I got 2.
Okay.
Which was, her expectation was that I would only get 1.
Wow.
Now, again, I'm 37, so I got 12 eggs. Somebody in their 20s with a lot more eggs might have gotten 25 eggs or 30 eggs, but I got 12. And like I said, I only ended up with 2 embryos. So you end up with 2 embryos per se.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen. You transfer, the transfer doesn't take. You transfer again, it doesn't take. So you're left to start a whole process completely over from scratch.
Yeah.
So a lot of women end up in those situations where they have to do it over and over and over again. So I was blessed enough to I had the 2 boys.
Yeah.
I went to transfer. There was an issue with my lining not being thick enough to keep the embryo, because you want it to glue on so it'll grow.
Okay.
It wasn't thick enough. And so they canceled that cycle. So then that kind of made it, I had to try twice.
Gotcha.
But I only did 1 cycle of IVF. So 1 initial cycle of IVF. And a lot of people do 8 cycles, and that's just like from beginning to end, all of that over again. So I only had to do 1 cycle.
Gotcha. Okay.
And 2 canceled transfer, and then the second transfer that kept.
Gotcha. Okay. So you mentioned this a little bit earlier about choosing to be a single mother. What were your thoughts around that going into this? And what have you gotten back? Because you've been very, very open on social media about this journey, and with your family, friends. What has been kind of the feedback that you've gotten from internet strangers, family, friends, and your thoughts kind of around choosing to be a single mother?
I'll first say that I'm like very headstrong in the sense that I've been through a lot of therapy, a lot of self-work. So really outsiders don't bother me at all. Like, it's like, you could say what you want to me. Like, you have no bearing on my life. I don't care what you think.
That's right.
What matters to me most, I think, is what I think about myself. I mean, honestly, if I can sleep at night, or if I have like that turmoil with myself, like, am I doing the right thing or am I not? And obviously, like my mom, I cared what my mom thought. That was a huge, like, what is she gonna think? Is this, something that she would back? Because I'm like, me and my mom are besties. And once I had her support, I really just didn't care about anybody else's support. But I will say that it just is a very empowering thing to have. Like, when I did share it, I got so much love. Like, people were like, do it. Like, they were cheerleading me. They wanted me to, well, first of all, because people want to know, I have a lot of friends that are single, are my age, and you just need an example. You need somebody to, like, hey, you go do it first and tell me how it is. And so that's what I felt like. So I felt like I had a lot of love and support. But in terms of like being a single mom by choice, I never, I guess, in my frame of mind, when I say that even out loud, like, I don't really feel like I'm going to be a single mom. And mainly because my parents were divorced. I still was, my dad, we would go summers with my dad, stay school years with my mom. But she was a single mom. That's a single mom. When you have that child, majority of the time, you are a single mom. Like, they not, footing the bills that you're footing or whatever. So I guess I never really thought about it as being an issue, because I watch my mom raise kids. I watch all of my friends who have degrees and who are great human beings be great human beings. Like, I never thought that was an issue. Like, but I realized after, letting people know, that people were like, you're choosing that. And it's like, yeah, well, you can choose to be married and be divorced tomorrow, or you can choose to have a baby with somebody and then walk away and not be present in that really. So I know I'm considered a single mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I don't really feel that. I feel like I have such a good village around me
Love that.
that
You're not
my
single in
brother's
this.
support. Yeah, I don't feel like a single
That's
mom.
awesome. That's awesome. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So tell us about what's baking in there and how far
Oh
along we
gosh.
are.
He is a mess, y'all. He
Cake
is a
baby
mess.
cake. I
And
love me some cake.
I get confused with him because I'll be like a certain week, like I'm going into my 26th week, but
Awesome.
he's
Okay.
measuring a week and a day ahead. So
Oh
every time I go to
wow.
the doctor, they're always like, "You're this amount of weeks," but he's measuring this amount of weeks.
It's
So I'm
gonna be
always
a
like, "What?"
big boy.
Yes, he is going to be big. So I just went and I'll be 26 weeks on Wednesday. And
Okay.
he's not even he's supposed to be a pound and 5 ounces. This
Mhm.
boy is 2 pounds and 2 ounces already.
Oh,
So
he is
there,
a
he's in the
big baby.
97th percentile. Yeah.
Wow.
He's not 97th percentile in weight. I have had all my glucose tests. I'll have another one in 2 weeks to just make sure it's not gestational diabetes. That's why he's so big.
Okay.
I've already had one before and it was
Yeah.
negative. I didn't have it. So he's a big boy and he just
Yeah.
kicks. Girl, I have to say, be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. When I had my ultrasound this week, my doctor was like on top of him with the thing. He
Mhm.
was like, boom, and it went through the thing. She was like, is he kicking that? I was
He
like,
did not
child,
want that on him. That's what
get
that is.
off.
He
You
did
need to
not
get
want
off.
that on him. Have we
You
picked out
need
a
to get
name
off.
yet?
I have a name. I
Okay.
don't think that I'm sharing the name
Okay.
yet. And I will say this. Look, I shared a couple names in the beginning, and then some people loved it. They was calling him. I was going to name him Mercer at first. They were calling him the name, and then some people hated it. And girl, people don't care about your little feelings. Okay,
Right.
no,
They
that is
do
not cute.
not.
Okay, that's not cute. I don't like it. Pick
They
another
do
name.
not.
So I said this time I call him it, and my mom, she knows it, but
Okay.
I said I'm gonna wait to do the little announcement so they can't look. Y'all can't change my mind because
Yeah.
you're mine. I don't care how solid of a person you are. When somebody tell you
Yes.
that name is not cute,
Yes.
you're like, but you don't. But you know, let me give you a backstory on it.
Yeah.
And no,
Some
they don't
people
want to hear.
still didn't care
They
though,
don't want to hear no
because
backstory. They
no,
don't want to hear no backstory, girl. No, that's not
that
cute.
is very,
So
and there's still some people walking around with some questionable names, so their
yeah,
parents did
it's
not
like
care what anybody thought.
right. And my mom's whole thing was like, my brother's name is Michael. I'm Ashley. And he's like, she was always like, and my little sister's Logan. She always like, what will the resume say? How will they read it? I don't want them to, feel one way or the other. I was like, girl, the way I'm a creative person, like my degree's in radio television. So I'm like way the world is set up, he can do whatever he wants to.
Whatever he
I don't
wants.
know what he's gonna do, but I'm not just banking on the fact that he's gonna be a lawyer or a
That's
doctor. He
right.
might own his own, television company or something. So it's just like I want his name to mean something to me,
Yeah.
and it does. So
Yeah.
he's a hoot though, girl. He ready. He
Well,
ready
we
to come
cannot
out. And
wait.
I got 3 more months. Like,
Oh,
you
exciting.
know,
No, they're rolling right on by. I mean, I've been following you for a
fast,
while, so I remember when
fast.
things kicked off, and we are here now. So
We
you
are.
are almost there. And
I
just
am.
quickly before we wrap up, what would you say to a woman who's in her 30s who is like, I don't know when or where love is gonna drop, but I know that I can't not be a mommy. Same situation, right?
Yeah.
I want to be a mommy, but I don't know where this love is going to come from. And she's considering this.
Yeah.
What would your
I,
best advice to her be?
I would say number one, I'm hoping that she's already being very gentle with herself because
Yeah.
I'm sure she's an amazing, kick ass, bomb individual.
Yes.
But I would say really just, if you have in your heart and you know that a baby is something that you can't go without, I
Yes.
would say start to research. There's so many free um resources, YouTubers. You can go to pages like mine and people have lists of things that you can research. I would say if it's on your heart, if it's truly on your heart, pray about it. Number one. Number two, do your research and see what you need to do. At minimum, it's just a regular doctor's appointment where they test your AMH to just see. There's a number that will basically tell you how close you are to menopause. Starts at a big number and it dwindles down to zero as you get older. Like mine, when I was 37, I think it was like a 2.37. The next year when I turned 38, before I was going to transfer, it dropped to a 1. So that's how fast it's dropping. But I would say if you're in your 30s and you really desire a baby and that's something that you have on your heart, pray about it, then go research, make the doctor's appointment. It's not going to hurt. The doctor's appointment is not telling you to do it or, not do it, but make sure you go get your AMH and your egg count checked, because that'll tell you if you have a low amount in there, or, oh, you're good. You have maybe give yourself a couple more years. If I were 30, I would have frozen my eggs at 30. Gotcha. I would have found a way, like we find a way to do anything we want to do.
Right.
If you got to get you a little part-time job that covers IVF, my job actually covered IVF, do whatever you have to do. And I'm not saying that the expense is little, because it is not. Yeah. But I would say I would research it first, see where I am health-wise, because they're going to check all your reproductive systems. They're going to let you know if there's any blockages, anything with your tubes, and you need to know that, period. Whether or not you continue this journey, you need to know your reproductive health, so that, when you do find your husband, child, you ain't got to worry about whether it's something blocked up in there.
What's going on?
I would say pray about it and then research, make the first appointment. Like my best friend said, just take the first step. Gotcha. And then once they give you the report back, then I think also too, that'll open up another window for you to be like, oh, well, I think that I have a little bit more time, or I should go ahead and freeze my eggs. But I would suggest, if, I would strongly suggest, freezing your eggs, doing one cycle and freezing your eggs, because they're frozen at your 30-year-old age, maturity age. And, if you decide to do it at 35, you still have those 30-year-old eggs versus 35-year-old eggs.
So ladies,
yeah, just get checked. I would say pray.
But do the work, because prayer without work without prayer, like it doesn't work. So pray and do the work. Just do the research. You don't have to commit to anything. Just do the research.
And if you don't want to share, don't share. Figure out what type of person you are. If you need cheerleaders, make sure that tribe of cheerleaders are supportive. You know what I mean? Because somebody that's a bad cheerleader can, ruin the whole plan for you, because you're not strong enough to be like, you're like, oh, everybody feels this. So make sure you just get a good tribe around you if you need a cheerleader. If not, find your person. My best friend was my person. We went to the doctor's office. I was scared. I went scared, but I would say just go forward, research and do it. Do it scared, do it broke, do it. I know that might sound a little bit irresponsible, but you're never going to be ready for the major milestones in your life, whether it's career, family, marriage. You're never going to be 100% ready to go out the door. You have to just do it.
If a woman wants to ask you more questions, if she is interested in some of the resources you may be able to provide for her, where can they find you?
You can reach me on my Instagram, Ashlee.everafter. That is the one that has all my IVF journey on it. You can DM me there and I'll send you a message back. That's the best way. I have another one that's Jones33, but the one with IVF information for sure, Ashlee.everafter.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to link that one.
Thank you. And it has a plethora of resources at the top with the stories. You can go through and actually see my journey from the beginning to those first appointments, what type of vitamins and everything. I tell you everything I did to prep myself for IVF. So And yeah, it's some tears in there too. So
Listen, we appreciate the transparency. We appreciate
yeah,
the vulnerability.
thank
We
you.
appreciate you being here to share your journey with us. You know, I always try to be very transparent about my life and where I'm at. And I mean, I'm 36 years old. I don't have any love interest or anything going on right now. And being a mommy is one of those things that if you know me, I've always wanted to be a mom. Always, always.
Oh,
I love babies.
I
So
love
I
that.
felt like this particular episode was really important to have, right?
Yes.
To help me on my journey. So I really appreciate you. You have just been phenomenal from the day we have been connected. And it put a lot on my heart. I know we've had a conversation offline, but it put a lot
We
on my
have.
heart, right? Because I'm just like, okay, God, what steps should I take, right? Like
Yeah.
align my heart with where I should be because I want kids and I don't know where love is, right? I don't know where it's at.
Right.
I don't know. So but you know, the jury's still
I
out.
love
Praying
it.
about it.
But
We're still
keep praying about it, girl. Keep praying about it. Go to that first appointment and just know where you are. And I think that, God will align itself with you. I would honestly say too, I'm not pressuring. I would not, like if
yeah.
this is not your choice, honey, it's not your choice. You'll know from the beginning when you start watching this, like this ain't for me.
This ain't for me.
But if it is, and it's on your heart and it's on your heart strong, I definitely would say, just keep in prayer about it because He will align you with the people you need to be in front of to make it happen.
That's right.
So I
He
hope somebody
always
hears
does.
it and feels that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And listen, when baby boy gets here, let us know because we are definitely gonna announce it on the Gift of Gab social media page. We are so happy.
Yes, I will let you know as soon as he's here. I'll be
Yes,
like, here y'all go, aunties.
that's right. That is right. We are looking forward to a healthy, safe, happy delivery. Thank you
Thank
again for
you.
joining Gift of Gab. You are always welcome back. So if you ever
Thank
had like, you know
you.
what, Gab, I want to talk about this. Come back. Come back. We are
Girl, I will come back whenever, child.
come
I love your platform and I think you're doing an
back.
amazing job. So
Thank you.
I would love to come back whenever you'll have me. So
We
thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for taking the time to cover this because it's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, y'all, like we always say, I love you. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Bye.